If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world. But sad or merry, I must leave it now. Farewell. The Dwarven King leaves us this message in his dying breath, embodying and reflecting upon all he's learned on his final journey in a solemn farewell. Thorin Oakenshield is more than the quintessential token dwarf. He's the quintessential token king. Not a paragon of perfection like Aragorn, and not trying to be. Thorin is a tragic figure, full of virtues, yet deeply flawed. A ruler in exile, on a quest to take back what is rightfully his, carrying with him the burden of his people's legacy and old scars left deep from a dragon. Join me as I delve into the King under the mountain, his journey to reclaim Erebor, and just what makes Thorin Oakenshield a lord amongst dwarves. Thorin, son of Thrain, was born a prince of Durnsfolk within Erebor, the Lonely Mountain. His grandfather Thror was king, and in his youth the terrible Smaug attacked, leaving only terror in his wake. Many dwarfs were forced to flee, while those trapped behind suffered a grim fate at the maw of the dragon. Helpless against the attack, Erebor's dwarves were stripped of their grand subterranean home and the treasures lying within. This was not simply a material loss, especially to young Thorin. This was the loss of his birthright, his people, and everything he ever knew. Thorin, stripped of all but his life, fled south with the remaining dwarves, spending the next chapter of his life in exile. Haunted by the shadow of a dragon, the flames of his ruined kingdom, and a heavy cross to bear, this vision of tragedy remained carved in the young dwarf's mind. A scar, only to be healed by the reclamation of his homeland, and with it, the end of his guilt and his shame. This gives us a foundation for our king under the mountain, an exiled prince, burned by a dragon, now out proving himself on the battlefield. During the War of Dwarves and Orcs, he earned himself the title of Oakenshield for using an oak log as a shield instead of his own, which had broken prior in the battle. In this fight, the war was won, and the dwarves reigned victorious. The dwarves settled in the Blue Mountains, and Thorin's father Thrain acted as king of Durnsfolk. At some point, Thrain left, and was captured and imprisoned by Sauron and Dol Guldur, never to be seen again. Now young Thorin was crowned the king in exile. His people prospered in the Blue Mountains, slowly increasing their numbers and returning to forging works of iron. But to Thorin, this was no Aragorn. It did not hold a candle to the great halls of his youth, and the old treasures stolen from him, still locked away, waiting within the lonely mountain. Thorin has many virtues. He values his own honor, as well as the honor of his friends, and most importantly, the honor of his ancestors. He places great pride in his royal dwarven heritage, their unmatched craftsmanship in the arts of metalworking, and even fabled dwarven toy making. He is proud of their once well-known prosperity in trade, the grand scale of their dwarven cities, and their mighty prowess in the field of warfare. He is courageous in battle and deeply loyal to his king. A natural leader, His abilities attract the attention of fellow dwarves. His allies place great faith in him, as shown by the immense respect given to him by the company throughout The Hobbit. They unquestionably follow his command. His kingly aura is felt by all who witness, in his words, in his deeds, in his unflinching resolve, even by the way he enters a room. But alas, these virtues are turned into his shadow. An unflinching resolve becomes unabashed stubbornness. Too much pride becomes an inflated ego and self-importance. His duty becomes his obsession. This is his scar, an ugly gift given to him at a young age by the dragon. This dragon, Smaug, burned these ways into a young Thorin, a prince with a heavy burden, too heavy. The hardness of his stone crown turned brittle. Dreams turned into nightmares. A legacy of trauma, a legacy of loss, and a legacy of bloodshed. Anyone can see why Thorin was obsessed with taking back Erebor. To him, the Lonely Mountain was everything. Nothing else mattered when compared to the thought of taking it back for the dwarves. Now where does this all poke through in the story of The Hobbit? Tolkien makes his character apparent to us from the journey's start, when Thorin and the dwarves arrive in Bag End. He is plain in what he wants, and it is plain to see the royal respect given to him. His ego and his desires are laid bare at Bilbo's table. Yet at this point, and for most of the journey, this is no issue. In fact, disregarding Gandalf, he leads as the wisest and the strongest member of the party. The main fault one finds with him is his tendency to put Bilbo in the position of most risk. When the party needs something dangerous done, Thorin's bravery disappears, and the task at hand suddenly becomes thieves' work, falling under Bilbo's jurisdiction. And let it not be forgotten that Bilbo is a hobbit, not of dwarf's blood, nor of Thorin's kin. And in fairness, as great as Thorin is, he is still not our book's protagonist, and far less amicable. He only worsens in quality as we approach Erebor, his character's traits culminating into two things. First, the Arcan Stone. Acquiring this gemstone is the equivalent of removing Thorin's shame. It is all he desires wrapped up into one dwarven chunk of the mountain. If he has this, he symbolically and literally reclaims the childhood glory Smaug took from him. Second is dragon sickness. This amplifies Thorin's avarice, obsession, and paranoia to the maximum. He distrusts all around him, falling back onto a with me or against me mentality. Dragon sickness is why he chooses greed over peace with the people of Lake Town and the elves, even with everything he owed to Bard for killing Smaug. Now, here is where his shadow contrasts most sharply with Tolkien's other lost king, Isildur's heir, Aragorn. Aragorn never falls to temptation, even to the One Ring. Thorin is forged from it. Temptation drives him. Greed is where he struggles, and greed is how he falls. Thorin archetypically embodies the peril of the Jungian shadow. He is very much the king archetype, starting noble, dutiful, and honorable. And of course, this is twisted. Greed, pride, and fear, his shadows which overtake him. From Stone King to Tyrant, the dragon sickness symbolically representing the power his own shadow holds over his identity. Once he claims the Lonely Mountain as his own, Thorin becomes an antagonist in our story. refusing peace, instead choosing war, treasure, and isolation. Though, was this ever unexpected for our dwarven king? He was the rightful king under the mountain, born to rule it. He was very clear in what he wanted, and when he finally got it, he was stubborn to give it up. Yes, closing Erebor off and refusing to share the riches was the morally wrong move. But was it so wrong of him to keep the treasure of his dreams which he had just reclaimed? We, the reader, know how much it meant to him, and how hard it would be for him to swallow his pride and give even a portion of that dream away. To see himself tested so soon after healing his scar. It was too much for our burdened king. That is, until he is given a shot at redemption. As Thorin holds up within Erebor, the elves, dwarves, and men are preparing to battle over control. But just prior to the fighting, an army of orcs and wargs appear, and the three races of free folk band together against the common evil. The side of good is appearing to lose, when not a moment too soon, Thorin leaps from his post, resisting his shadow and fighting his way into the light. His presence turns the tide of battle. His leadership, courage, and skill all shine through in this moment, reforging him as the greatest version of himself, ready to sacrifice it all for the greater good. He is finally free, yet a cost is paid. Suffering a grave injury, this battle proves Thorin's last. With his dying breaths, he recognizes Bilbo's loyalty, the evil of obsession over treasure, and the true meaning of being king. If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world. But sad or merry, I must leave it now. Farewell. Thorin Oakenshield is the quintessential Tolkien tragic king, the dwarf who bore the weight of a mountain in the shape of his people's legacy, royal expectations, hidden shame, and inner grief.